Unison is brought to you by the Young Committee of the International Federation for Choral Music.
Basilio Astulez teaches choral singing at the Leioa Municipal Music Conservatory, where he founded the Leioa Kantika Korala children's choir in 2000 and the SJB Mixed Youth Choir in 2008. This recently founded choir school has over 250 singers aged between 9 and 25 and has already won many Spanish and European awards. He conducts also Vocalia Taldea Choir, a multi-awarded and renowned female ensemble. As the conductor of these choirs, he has recorded 12 records and toured in Europe, America, and Asia. He currently teaches choral conducting for educational institutions, universities, and choral federations in Spain, and is frequently asked to be a member of the jury for many competitions and to run choral singing courses and seminars all over the world. He also teaches choir conducting at the Musikene Higher Conservatory of the Basque Country since 2018 and leads EHGA, the Basque Youth Choir, recently awarded with 3 first prizes in the International Choral Contest of Tolosa. We are so glad that you're here with us.
It's my pleasure.
Righty, our first question is kind of a big one. How did you get started as a young conductor?
No, I don't know if it's by hazard or no. I was singing in a children's choir when I was studying in my school, age 14 to 15. I was struggling with my voice and suffering a bit, trying to find my place and getting used to the new voice and also trying to manage as an alto. And I remember that was not so easy for me. And also for my conductor, who was maybe very skilled in how to manage with these situations. And she said to me, "Oh, I got an invitation from the Basque Federation. They are looking for new choir members and students who can join a seminar for choir conducting. Basilio, what do you think? Would you be interested in joining this for a weekend?" And I said yes, but I don't know why did I say yes. I said, okay, come on. I remember myself that, oh, this is something about choirs, but I also remember the first shock I got when I was asked to go in front of other students and to move my hands first time in my life and to see something and to give the first entrance or to give some comments. And that shock was quite strong. But on the other hand, I also remember kind of feeling in which I said to myself, oh, this is interesting. Why not? In order to be I don't know, locked or really stressful or blocked, I decided to, well, I will say something, and I still have this memory inside myself, and it's always with me. The idea, okay, come on, let's go one step forward, and I would say that was the beginning of this crazy adventure.
Basilio, I must say, it is really inspiring to hear that you were struggling to find your sound, but now you're helping lots of people to find theirs. So it's nice to hear that. And so our next question for you is, what are the choral traditions of your region, and what makes choirs in your region unique?
I live in the Basque Country, in the north of Spain, a very small area, like no more than 2 million people. So it is a small part of Spain, but we are even the image you all guys have from Spain is the sunny country. I must say that we are northern people. It's raining heavily this evening. So it's a small area, but in which the choir singing belongs to the society, to the way of behaving, also to the way of showing our own culture. We have Euskera, which is our own language, and a very strong and deep culture with a lot of traditions in which choir singing and folklore and Basque songs are a must. And of course, as in everywhere in the world nowadays, this is somehow becoming weaker and weaker. So it's one more reason to be stronger than ever to try to promote this. But this is the way I was grown up. Still singing in a choir is alive in our society, and many people, thanks God, decide to go for a choir. Also young people, also children and families, and we are so proud of our let's say net of choirs, of our heritage, of our composers, also new composers that are really mainly focused in writing for choirs, which is quite unique and quite special. And that makes this small region, let's say, quite strong and quite powerful in choir singing. And also, I think it's related that as happens in many other small European countries, it's a way to show your identity and to try to keep it alive and to try to get identified to the traditions that are around you, your family, the way you heard the things, to also super connected to the language, of course. Many composers nowadays write in Latin and so, which is like a common language for all music, choir music lovers. But anyway, still nowadays, writing for choirs in Basque is quite strong, and this makes this context quite special and quite strong.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I definitely agree that where you are in the world is a very strong community of choral tradition. And I think that it's so beautiful to be able to share your culture and share the stories of those around you through this art form. And so I think that was
Yeah.
very, very beautifully said.
And because the problems we all choirs and choir societies are globals, and sometimes this idea of going together for a medium or long term time, doing same thing and trying to improve is much more difficult everywhere in the world. I think it is very important to be more than ever committed with this and try to still make it all style, meet in a room, share some papers and try to sing beautifully and keep this natural and simple but deep and fantastic connection alive. And go back to the roots, which is super, super important, especially for children and young people, in which many things can come just with a finger, right? It can sound quite old-fashioned, but I must say that nowadays, more than ever, I'm on that and on this idea of keeping, let's say, weekly rehearsal, commitment, singers and their families, and this idea of belonging to something that grows up with you and it is connected with your society, in which you are important but not completely necessary, which is very important thing also to share. And this is, I would say, one mission for all the people that love choir singing. The context can be easier or not so easy, but anyway, we are all fighting in the same direction.
Yeah, and speaking of the young people, I'm interested to hear more about your work with Leioa Kantika Korala. And I know that Pelin and I worked at the symposium in Istanbul, and I remember that performance. I'm eager to hear about a little bit more about this ensemble and how your experience was performing at the World Symposium.
It was a fantastic experience, I think, and still the singers and their families have this in their mind, and I think this will stay forever. So this is the things that enrich this common goal, and that you will always remember. And sometimes it's so fantastic that some singers that were not there, they think that they were already there and this belongs to them because they sing in the choir. So this happens to many memories, and this is one of these kind of treasures that we try to collect in this way as a choir. And yeah, Kantika is a children's and youth choir that belongs to a afternoon evening public music school in the Basque Country next to Bilbao. Leioa is a small town near Bilbao. So it was founded 25 years ago. It is even difficult to say that, but that's what happened. And Yeah, I think like around 5 to 6 completely generations have been already singing in the choir. Now it's formed by 53 singers, music students of different levels and different instruments of the conservatory. And what I really think is that I was in my 20s when we started the choir, and but I had this idea of trying to it may sound a bit pretentious. I don't want to be pretentious, but I remember this idea of trying to update a bit the choir language, to try to go out from black and white, to try to go out for things, being respectful with traditions, but trying to make it attractive for our children. And of course, the children of the 1999 and the children and young people of today are completely different. So I also, me myself, I experience a complete change of their priorities and their families and their way of being. But anyway, we wanted to make it attractive for them. And we wanted to update and to put new colors and new languages and new traditions and new ethnical, traditional, avant-garde repertoire, but of course being respectful with tradition, with romantic or with Renaissance, in the idea of saying yes to many different inputs and many different ideas. And I want to think that still, even many things have completely changed if we look back. Still this beginning and this first idea is alive in the current members and their families. We all still try to find new things. We all still want to find new treasures, new surprises for us, for ourselves, and for our audience. And this is one of the strongest engine we try to share with the community.
Yeah, thank you for sharing these, Basilio. And I must say, it was an unforgettable experience to listen to your choir during the symposium. But also, you have other ensembles that you're working with, and we generally wonder, what do you think the vision is, your vision of your performing ensembles, and how do you envision your role within that change?
I always think about the same idea. The present is the same, but maybe the paper and the ribbon change. And this is for me what is the different approach you can find when you teach or you rehearse with teenagers or children comparing to adults. Sometimes I would say that things are easier with children because it's pure and it's I may like it or not. I don't care so much if it is double choir or very difficult, or if it's with this or other language, or if it suits perfectly to my tessitura and my passaggio. They don't care so much about this. If you get them, and if you can switch on this commitment, I always say this is kind of Ferrari. If you switch this engine, then the engine is very powerful. Sometimes it is not so easy to switch it on in the good way, but if you do your best in creating this energy, things become much easier than with very experienced singers, adults that are, let's say, more conscious about their voice, what suits them or not, if they may like them or not, intonation, breathing problems, blah blah. And I think there are many ways, and not completely direct ways, to work on technical stuff that are very fast. And sometimes when we get too focused with intonations of vocals, shaping and all this technical stuff could be really difficult with professional choirs or with very good amateur young singers. But sometimes with children you can get very good results, and the approach, it's very basic and very simple, and it's based on, do I like it or not? And if I like, and if my conductor convinces me that this is really strong, I will go for it. And if we should jump through the window to sing better, we will do all together, because it is fantastic and no one worries about the risk in doing this. And this for me is still nowadays super touching and fantastic. And it's one of the things that makes me sometimes feel extremely happy when conducting. And I think this idea of mixing technical things with emotions makes sense to what we do. Sometimes just technical things can be nice, but a bit boring. Just emotion with no technical is a bit weak and can make feel us a bit unsatisfied. So I think this never 50% is like love relations, not never equal, but trying to find this balance that goes a bit up and down all the time is the never-ending question, but fantastic.
Enjoying the podcast? Why not check out what else IFCM is up to? Follow IFCM on Instagram or Facebook, or visit ifcm.net to hear about upcoming events and projects, and to find a vast array of choral music resources.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the greatest things about working with young people is that their attention span is quite small. And so you have to be quite innovative and create musical ideas that are quickly adjustable. And so, yeah, I mean, I just graduated from university and there's so much that I need to know and learn, and I'm excited. And so I'm interested to hear about your advice for someone like me, and a developing conductor or composer or choral leader. What would you tell them?
I would say two very basic things. I'm not being very original, but one very important thing in what we do is that if you want to be successful, do it a lot. And you may tell me, oh, come on. Yeah, many people think that, okay, I have very good singers, and in 1 year, I will have a wonderful chamber choir. Okay, you may do it. Maybe in some concepts, 80% it's easy to reach in 1 year, in 2 years, but this wonderful and magnificent 20 or 10% needs 5 years or 7 years or even 10 years. So do it a lot, try it many, many times, do a lot of mistakes and trust the process, not only in this theoretical point of view, be artisan and try many, many times and do mistakes and create kind of gymnastic way of understanding the rehearsal in which every week you do it 3 times and trust the process and make the choir the opportunity of developing and shaping their own path of development, not only from here, not only from the abstract way of understanding the beauty of the sound or right approach to their vocal technique. So I could always recommend young conductors to really go weekly. And the other thing is that try to open your mind as much as you can. Be ready to accept crazy ideas, to go a step forward, to try to stage something, to open to movements, to different stages, to different kind of repertoires, to different accompaniment options, to different repertoire options, to mix, to go for transitions, to put the choir as much as you can and want out of the box and put yourself out of the box as much as you can and try to open the criteria to others, but starting by opening to yourself and to your singers, in which yes, and why not, and of course, and let's do this, and one more time, of course, stand up, of course, turn and close your eyes and look to, everything is very welcome. So be ready for this kind of let's say physical improvisation and trial and create the rehearsal as a trial moment in which everything is welcome, and trying things and doing mistakes and going back to roots and change the way is also an option. And also, especially with children and teenagers, I trust the teamwork in the idea that I think that they are not good singers just because they obey my orders. We do things together, and I sometimes ask for opinion and I ask for ideas of movements, and I try to make them recognize their points of view in the final result of what we do, so that I sometimes think that I accompany them and that I am not just giving orders and obliging them to do things. And if they accept my things, they are good singers. So this concept of freedom, of trying things, of giving opinions, or giving them a mood, but letting them being free, not just doing all the time things all together, same thing, same arm, same positions. Sometimes we do, but not all the time. This idea in between being together but being free, for me, it's one of the keys of this rehearsing and shared working process.
What you said really resonated with me, Basilio, because I think the freedom of being able to make mistakes and learn from it is really valuable in lots of areas in life, but also, of course, with the choral music. But it can also be, they might fear to make mistakes. But I just wonder if you have an example in your mind that a mistake you made, but a lesson you learned from it to inspire some young listeners, maybe.
I did many mistakes, and I think I will do many mistakes, and I think I say this word mistake many times, I think, and I tell to my choir, come on, try this, mistakes are welcome. This is one of the sentences I do very often, and I say we rehearse because we accept mistakes, so don't be shy, be first, do mistakes, and every time you hold your hand, I will be happy, and holding your hands will always be welcome. I can remember me myself, like sometimes being a bit in a hurry and being a bit stressful in with the idea, I want this, and I tell this to my choir. Why don't do they this if it is super clear for me? Why it's not so clear for them? How can we were like in two speeds, and I was like struggling with myself. Oh, sometimes very strongly, because I wasn't able to go to them, understand them, accompany them to try to make them better as a choir, as singers. And it took me time, I must say, to really understand, okay, this is them, and you cannot oblige them to reach you. You have to go to them, find these positions, understand them, be part of the thing, and go up with them. And this was for me, I must say, quite a long way. And sometimes I suffered quite a lot because I wanted results, I would say, too fast in the beginning. And I talking about technical things about experience, behavior, rules, discipline of the rehearsal. Seeing this is not so easy, and sometimes you sit and you are waiting too fast for results because you think you just see it in the right way. Maybe you did, but the process is the process, and it takes time to understand that you have to trust the process, and you have to be ready, and you have to accept mistakes or things that maybe are not so fulfilling for you. In this way of trying to rise up this standard, and in the end find a general standard of communication, of musical skills, of organization, of quality, repertoire, many things in which you feel really comfortable. And sometimes I feel nowadays that still conductors are a bit in a hurry. And one of the things that I love from choir music is that it's not mathematics. It's of course connected with science, but 2 + 2 is not 4 in what we do. And this is fantastic. Sometimes this is a nightmare, but sometimes this is the thing that makes everything different. You have one very good singer and two very good singers, or three very good singers, but you put them together singing and the results is not something outstanding. Why? You have told the choir 3, 4, 5 times, same idea, sometimes with different words, and still it doesn't work very well. But sometimes you do just a movement, or you change your face, or you do an very informal comment out of a rehearsal, and this idea is completely fixed and forever. Why? So it's not a book that you can read, and it's not something that, okay, I know all the rules, I know all the laws, I have studied all this method, so I'm ready to put it in practice, and results will come in 2 months. Not at all. And this sometimes is very difficult, but this is one of the magic what we do. And being ready to smell, understand, and play with this not mathematics system is for me kind of passion, and it's fantastic, and sometimes bit frustrating, but others, many other times, so enriching. And this idea of playing with it and being sometimes up, sometimes not so fulfilling, understand why, and sometimes you understand why 100 times and you don't even have the right answer. This is how it works. I don't know. I don't know. I thought I studied this score deeply. I practiced all the lines. I sang, I danced. I thought this could be very fast into rehearsal, and it's not working. Why? I don't know. I can have some ideas, but I don't have maybe the right answer. And this idea of not having the right answer is something that I like, and that makes sense to what we do many times too.
Yeah, I love what you said about don't be shy, be first. And I think that's such an important message for young people, is truly meeting them where they are. Some students, you'll have to teach them everything. How do you sit in a chair in a choral rehearsal? Assume that they don't know, and then teach them those things. And I think that one of the things that we do is we prescribe, and we build up a toolbox of tips and tricks and things that help us along the way. And sometimes they don't work for this thing, but they'll work for this thing. But it's about getting more tools in the toolbox. And I want to ask you a question about a time when the toolbox might not have had a lot of tools in it. And I want to hear about your first, if you can think back to it, your first concert you conducted, and what that mentorship was like with either a professor or whoever was you were under their wing.
I think I was 16 or 17, not completely sure. And it was a female choir of a very small village I lived. And it was like neighbors, my mother, my sister, some friends, and it was like, let's start doing something. I was also like struggling so hard. How can I make these women sing in two voices and not like mixing all the lines? And let's do some Christmas song. And we started September trying to do something. I think we were able to sing 2 to 3 pieces, of course, completely out of tune and with no criteria at all. but we were super proud that we were able to start. And this was in I remember mid-December or something. I remember the church. I remember this tension of will we be able to do it, and also the pleasure of, and this already strong energy of sharing this message, and having the singers with you, even though we didn't know what was it about. So yeah, this memory is quite strong, and I think it will always be with me, because it was really the beginning of this big snowball.
To support the work of IFCM, consider becoming a member or making a donation. Visit ifcm.net. Any support helps IFCM's volunteers connect to the choral world.
I love that. I love that. And, especially looking on it from this lens of being in that spot, being a young conductor, I wonder what's going to carry on for the rest of my career and what I will remember. But I think that you will always remember how it feels.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that's
Yes.
your experience.
And those are the treasures you will get always with you, and the marks that you will always remember. And life is made of those things, I would say. And we need to, of course, it's super simple that we have to really feel and to get these small treasures, so that we are able to share with the others, and that we can help the others to get their own treasures and to enrich the shared way together. This is how it works. Is part of communication. You have to give, but you have to receive. And the more you receive, the more you are ready to give. And this is richer and richer and stronger. And this communication is connected with intonation, of course, and it's connected with quality, and is connected with repertoire, and with position, and with improvement of timing, and with starting on time, and with buying originals, or the first uniform, or the first trip, or the first special long rehearsal on a weekend to prepare competition or a concert. And those are the memories that we need this, because those are the small lights on what we do, and we have to switch as much as we can in order to promote and to spread this energy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, now we're going to move into some quick questions, very easy questions. And so we're going to move into our quick fire round of questions. Pellin's going to start us off on this journey.
Yeah, so these questions are just for us to know you better and your taste in the choir music. So, who is your favorite composer and conductor?
Aha, this is difficult to say, because I change very fast from one composer to the other. I have some names. I mean, from the old is always for me, I would say one of the best is Tomás Luis de Victoria, Spanish Renaissance composer. From romantic, I will go always, I think, from Holst to Mendelssohn, maybe. And from contemporary composers, I changed my love many times, and I think I will still change it very often. I would say, I don't know, Arvo Part, Rautavaara, Jake Ranestad from the States. Those are some names that come to my mind, but I think maybe because now I'm doing their music in my program, so this is the main reason to this first answer.
That's awesome. We did a Jake Runestad piece when I was in college, the Earth Symphony, and it was.
Yes, I have done that last year with him and the Bilbao Symphonic Orchestra, and Jay came from the States for the European premiere, and this is a fantastic piece that we had so much fun with it, and it was fantastic. And now we are doing this Silence Haunts Me by him, also based on this Heilige Stadt Testament that Beethoven wrote 14 years before he lost his talent, and I'm super in love with that piece too.
And A Silent Haunts Me also was performed at the symposium as
Yes,
well. And so I'm glad
yes,
to hear.
super
Speaking
special and strong piece, really.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of choral music, I am curious. This is probably also going to be ever changing. But what is your favorite piece of choral music right now, or one that you think of?
Still difficult to say. I think that I will go from one corner to the other. Uh, Talking about female choirs, I always say it's Ave Maria by Holst. This is the piece that has been with me for more than 25 years, and I still love it and still perform it. For mixed choir, many things, different things, I would say, from classic to contemporary, more academic or not so academic. Um, Maybe, and now what we are doing also with Vocalia, the female choir, these pieces by Hildegard von Bingen, Ignis Caritatis by the Slovenian composer Damian Mochnik. Oh, fantastic, strong and lovely pieces too. Kantika is also now performing by some pieces by Jake Ranestad, lovely stuff too. But I think that a bit of everything, doing also music by Petrassi or by Rautavaara or by Ildebrando Pizzetti. One of the pieces that comes to my mind and I am always in love with is the choir concerto by Russian composer Alfred Schnittke. I don't know. And I love this idea of not staying just in one box, and not being very specialized in one period. I'm not I'm not this kind of person. And I always try to find the good criteria. Sometimes I don't have this good criteria by myself, but I am very grateful that I have a very talented and clever friends, always ready to help me. So this is one of the things I search more for nowadays. If I want to do good Gabrieli for 3 choirs. How can I really have this good criteria to do my best performance? If I want to move to Brahms or to Mendelssohn or to Schnitger, Rautavaara or Petrassi, who can be the right person to ask for the good idea or understanding, because we are not ready to understand everything. We are not prepared to understand everything. And I think it's super good to be able to ask for help and for advice and for others' knowledge to share and to enrich your own. So this is part of the learning and studying process. And I'm totally on that, I could say.
Yeah, so the choral culture is so wide and it's so hard to, and maybe it's not even necessary to choose just one of them, as you said. So I believe the next question will be a hard one for you as well. Uh, so if you could have dinner with any musician, who would it be? And would you talk with them?
Oh, this is this is a question. The first thing that comes to me, but this is because this piece, it's Beethoven, because I was so touched by this story of his Heiligenstadt Testament and all this strong process and all this suffer and all this difficult way of managing with such a big ego that makes me feel completely curious about all those things. Second one will be Monteverdi, I would say, because I'm super in love with his books of madrigals and the way that love, passion, sex, and all these really, really strong and human feelings are expressed in the music. So I'm always, when I work with my students in the university, this repertoire, we always speak about how should this be in this 17th Rome or Venice or Mantova context. How do performers behave with the rich and nobles, and how would everything be? This is a really fantastic thing, huh? So yes, those two numbers came to me quite strongly. It would be fantastic to have a dinner with the two of them. Don't you think so?
I do.
Mm.
And it's important to realize that when these composers were writing these works, it felt very much like how Mr. Runestad's music feels to us in this era. It felt very groundbreaking. It told the story of love. It told the story of misfortune. And so
Yeah,
it's important to remember that and give it context when we
mhm,
perform.
of course.
And so my next question is an interesting one. What is your favorite language for choral music to be in? Like if you're like, this is my jam.
I must say Latin. Italian Latin is for me the sweetest and the most elegant, I would say. Apart of that, of course, Italian, Basque, because this is my soul is Basque, and this is how I feel. But I must say I love languages, and I am super interested in how can do this and improve this. And I always tell to my students, this is one of the keys. I mean, knowing the meaning and the pronunciation is not yet is decoration, is the main thing. And many things about dynamics and technical stuff come from this, and sometimes many conductors forget this, and this is what makes everything different to orchestras, chamber music, symphonic bands, piano, organ, everything. We have words, we have poems, we have texts, we have meanings. So for me, it's the root. And when I'm a bit lost, and that happens quite often, I always try to go to texts, and I take the text out of the song or of the piece, and I write it out, and I say it, and I ask to someone, say this text for me out of the music, and I record the poem in many different voices, and I do it in with different moods, And sometimes this is kind of revelation, and this is when the piece starts speaking to me, and when this relation becomes much deeper, and when we start understanding each other, and it's because of the words, and this comes with the pureness and the fantastic particularities of the spelling of the lyrics and the language. So this is one of the most beautiful parts of what we do.
It is really important to understand the music via language as well, because it will felt differently when you understand what it says. So like being familiar with the language really helps, and being familiar with the venue might help also, because choral music really interacts with the venue we are singing in. So our next question is, which is your favorite venue to perform in?
I could say that a good chapel with a nice acoustic and a quite wide stage with no a lot of verandas and not a lot of saints and things to manage with. A clean and light small chapel with round and beautiful acoustic that you can really feel with that was made long ago, many centuries ago, to sing in it. And this is when sometimes when you can like smell, okay, I can like get this heritage of centuries of many songs and hymns and anthems and rituals that were already performed here. And many people before me think that this was ideal to sing, and many important things connected to high level feelings of the soul and of the spirits of the spirit were already than here. And I think that there is no a concert hall, no a theater that can have such a strong a feeling that this belongs to these mystic and sacred places, I would say.
I totally agree. I think there's something sacred about the space, and it's very important, and I think students feel that as well. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us and giving your time and offering your joy for the last 45 minutes. Some of the things that stuck out to me is just your depth of knowledge when you started talking about different composers from different eras. I was very impressed because it made the connection to what we do now and in real time, and that this is an alive art form, and that it will continue on after us. And the beauty of that is that we get to share it with one another and give it to that next generation. And so thank you so much for speaking with us and contributing to helping young people with university students and with the students in your ensemble. They're very lucky to have a conductor that really cares about them.
Thank you. It's wonderful to hear that. It was really my pleasure to talk with you and to share this talk and to give you my approach and my ideas of this magic and passionate world of choir singing.
That was Unison, brought to you by the Young Committee of the International Federation for Choral Music. If you have any feedback or ideas for the podcast, you can email us at young@ifcm.net. Thank you to our guest for their time, and thank you to you for listening.